Hey, welcome back to the Free Genies project. If you caught last week's episode, you already know that we kind of cracked open one of these myths, these misconceptions around identity. And this is that we believe that identity is something we find, when in reality is something that we choose. So today, we're going to continue diving deeper into that concept. And we're going to step into that choosing who we are together. Hey there. Welcome to the Free Genies Project, a space where transformation is about becoming, not performing. Because self-development isn't about fixing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. Freeing yourself from expectations that don't fit, from stories that were never yours to carry, from rules that keep you from living fully, unapologetically like yourself. Each week, you'll hear real conversations, practical tools, and unfiltered truths, all designed to make self-growth feel natural and not like another impossible standard. This isn't just another self-help podcast. It's a movement, a space where we stop waiting for permission and start living life our way. So, why wait for 3 wishes when you can start freeing your genie one step at a time? Let's go. You can think of this episode as a part 2, because here's the thing. When we choose, we can think of that choice as being the spark. But in order to turn that spark into a fire, in order to turn that idea, that choice of this is the path that I am going to go towards in order to build my identity, we are going to need more than choices. We are going to need repetition, training, practice. You are going to need to do some work in order to not only keep that fire alive, but also to kind of help your brain and your body connect the dots that this is who you are, this is who you're stepping into. It would be great, as we talked about last episode, to just be able to say, this is who I am, and magically get handed the confidence, the clarity, the authority, the drive to show up as that person. But that doesn't happen. That does not happen. And so what do we need to do in order to really show up as this person? We need to build this person. We need to train our brain and our bodies and our hearts to make decisions that are aligned with this person's character, with this person's ideas, with this person's interest. And this person is you, or the choice of you. And so if last week was more of like the mindset breakthrough, where we kind of like cracked open our brains and looked at things differently, this episode is going to be more of an exploration around what can we actually do to get to the point that we talked about in episode 1. What can we actually do to make sure that not only are we choosing our identity, but we are embodying our identity? The first thing that I want to touch on as we start building this workout plan for our identity is that we are going to encounter a lot of resistance throughout the way, because we are doing something new. We are breaking from autopilot and choosing to do something. And the moment we choose to do something, our brain kind of gets short-circuited. And this might come up in many, many different ways. It can come in moments of doubt. It can come in moments where you think, who am I to do this? What if I fail at attempting what my heart is telling me to do? What are people going to think about me making these changes? Am I going to be able to fit in? Am I going to have to like change my name and like start over somewhere else? All of these questions, all of these thought patterns is resistance showing up, and it makes sense. But the fact that it makes sense doesn't equate, okay, I'm resisting, therefore I must stop. Just like in physical training, there are some times when we are, trying to do the squat or like the presses or whatever it is that we're doing, and our body is not feeling very smooth. But that doesn't mean that we stop training, right? That just means that we're working towards developing that pattern. That means that you're working those muscles. And so is the case with your identity. You are taking steps for your brain, your heart, and your body to know that this is something that you can do. So, step number 1 in this identity workout plan kind of thing we have going on is to pick one moment where you would usually play it small, where you would usually conform to your normal autopilot and do the bold thing anyways. That might look different for everybody because bold doesn't mean unsafe. I want to make that little disclaimer, right? Whatever it is, the space where you feel safe enough to get uncomfortable, start there. When I say pick one moment where you usually play it small or where you would usually conform to your autopilot, you can pick any moment. The tiniest moment where you feel that your usual option or your usual move is to snooze the button 3 times in the morning. Maybe the bold thing is to wake up with the first alarm. Sounds very simple. That's one example. Maybe the bold thing is to speak up at a very important work meeting. Contribute your idea. Wear that outfit that makes you feel good. Set that boundary. Say no and don't give an explanation. Ask for the thing that you want. Ask for the thing that you need. And just let the space be there without over-explaining or minimizing yourself. These are all examples of what that rep can look for you. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But we want to get into the habit of pushing through a little bit in a safe but uncomfortable manner so that rep can get those circuits of identity going, and it gets us a little bit more used to that choice of identity that we're making. Now, to continue with that analogy of a workout, the next thing that we need to do in this journey of ingraining that identity in our lives is to build the habit muscle. Because just like muscles, habits cannot grow without repetition. And neither can your identity. The more you do something that aligns with that choice of who you want to be, the easier it is going to get to not have to think about it and just be that person. Because we can't just decide to be confident and outspoken and extroverted. We have to back that up with actions. We gotta act like we're confident. We gotta act like we're extroverted if those are the things that you're trying to call into your life. And that initially is not easy. So we gotta build that repetition, daily and again. As you probably have seen in this podcast, this is not about doing something huge and dramatic. We want to show up for ourselves daily and constantly in tiny, boring, consistent actions. So in today's challenge number 2, what I want to invite you to do is to choose one identity aligned habit and just do it for 7 days straight. 7. Not 30, not 90, not the rest of your life. Just 7 days. Give it a week. And I am not going to tell you what habit to pick because I don't know what kind of person you're trying to be. So once you figure out what is your tiny, boring, consistent habit, just do it for a week. You can journal with this prompt. The version of me that I am building is. And let it show you what that version is for you. Whatever it is, whatever you choose, just pick one thing and stick with it. You can also use some of the strategies that we talked about on the all or nothing thinking episode and have spectrums, right? What does sticking with it means? What is the least amount of effort version of this habit that I can do, and what is the most elaborate version of it that I can bask into? And just tailor it to your life, to your lifestyle, to your rhythm. And let consistency do what motivation can't. Because consistency is the thing that is going to give your brain evidence that you can do it, that you are that person. For the most part, I think those 2 first steps are common lore at this point in the wellness, self-development world. You know, you got to choose, you got to do an habit, you got to be consistent, you got to show up, blah, blah, blah. The thing that sometimes we don't remember to do and that we skip and then we're feeling all discombobulated is the rest and integration space. And if you've ever been really serious about working out and tried to go all in and then crashed and burned from exhaustion and soreness, you probably have learned the hard way that muscle growth happens when you give it also room to recover, right? You have to push it. You have to take it to different places, but you also need rest. You also need the muscles to adapt and let them remember that now you are doing the thing. It's the same with our mind. It's the same with our identity. We gotta show up for it in ways that vibe check that choice, that intention that you have of the person that you're becoming. But you also gotta find spaces within the push to chill and just be. You know, you need to find 5 minutes, 30 minutes a day to say, you know what? I'm working on this podcast, but today I am not. You know what? I'm working on analyzing why I do the things that I do, but I also need a day to enjoy. Whatever your version of rest is, you have to remember that rest isn't weakness. And I'm going to say that again because a lot of us have grown up with the stereotype, whether on TV or IRL, that when we take time to rest, we are being lazy. When in reality, everything needs rest. Because in rest is where we integrate. Rest is where the magic of that light bulb in your head that says like, whoa, I got it. I got it. Or the moment of reflection from all of the actions that you've taken, that reflection, that moment that lets you land in yourself, that shows you really how far you've come, won't happen when you're doing the thing. It won't happen when you are like so focused on the action. It will happen at the end of the day when you sit down on your couch, take a big breath, or you're in your Shavasana and you say, holy shit, the person that I am today or the things that I'm doing today are looking a little or a lot differently than yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 15 years ago. You need that space. So, challenge number 3 is to schedule a moment, a night, 30 minutes. You know your capacity, you know your bandwidth, but schedule some time to unplug, to reflect, to be with yourself. You know, lower the stimulation a little bit, take a slow walk, no podcast, no music, no extras. Just make a pocket for your nervous system to actually catch up with the version of you that's becoming, and sit with yourself just to check in with what comes up. Journal about who you're becoming. Use that prompt I just gave you and notice what's shifting constantly and what's shifting from the first time you journaled with that prompt. Lie on the floor, look at the ceiling, get bored, and let yourself just feel. Let yourself just be in the moment. Even if it's 5 minutes, I promise you, it feels so challenging when you are on the go to sit down for 5 minutes. Because here I am telling you to do all these things, and there are days where 5 minutes feels like a lot of time. And it's usually on those days where those 5 minutes, timed by my watch, where I know the alarm is going to sound at the end of those 5 minutes, and I'm still like looking at the clock every 30 seconds to see if I didn't skip the 5 minutes. Those are the days where there's a lot of shit that just wants to be felt. And we usually don't give it that space. At the end of the day, whatever activity you choose to do in these moments of rest, in these moments of pause, the main idea that I would love for you to take home is that when we are making changes, when we are becoming, it's not only about the doing. The doing has a place. The woo-woo has a place. The integrating, the making space has a huge space. So let's give it the space that it needs to let ourselves catch up with the version of ourselves that we want to be. Because at the end of the day, you don't get these identity gains by manifesting harder or just being in your brain all the time. You don't unlock a new version of you just by wishing it or journaling about it or waiting to feel ready about it. Those things have a place and are a part of what gets you there. But the moment that really is going to help you step into that version of you is the moment where you merge all of these things with the action and the rest. One repetition, one choice, 1 week, one space at a time. So, what is your rep going to be this week? How can you make space for the whole cycle of choosing, thinking, doing, and integrating? Because that is your workout circuit for identity. Basically, instead of doing legs, chest, abs, and cardio, you gotta choose, you gotta do, and you gotta rest. So choose, do, rest away. Until next week, please let me know what you're training, who you're becoming, and what you're doing in your corner of the world. And I will see you for another episode later next week. As always, take what you need, leave what you don't, and make this journey entirely yours. If something in this episode resonated, please let me know. Leave a review, share your thoughts in the comments, or DM me over at the Free Genies Project on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, adios.